Hello, welcome everybody. We are doing an event. This is TLA Black Women in Tech, and tonight we are talking NFT Metaverse, business career opportunities. And I'm so excited, and I can't wait for you to hear these amazing speakers. Seyi Awutunde, Jimmy Daudu, Kate Pilford, should I say correctly, who is our moderator, Lavinia Osborne, who is also a speaker, and Amelia Coleman. And I hope I didn't destroy all your names. So if you are not familiar with TLA Black Women in Tech, TLA Black Women in Tech is a non-profit organization. Our role is to really build bridges of opportunities for Black women in tech, but also for tech companies to really hire talented Black women. I'm really proud to say that we ran recently a campaign of Apple, which went so well, and we're going to carry on working with them to bring more amazing talent at Apple. Yes, this is great. So we are already the second, and I keep saying that, we have the second largest working group. The first one is also Women in Tech, which I invite you to check. If you haven't yet created your account on our website, I invite you to do so. But also to be very clear, TLA Black Women in Tech is part of a bigger family with initiatives, verticals, and geographies. So we go beyond just London, and we are pretty much big. So if you don't stay just with Black Women in Tech. If you are interested in pop tech or health tech or insurance technology or whatever, or maybe in Africa or Canada, please explore the other network. All these networks are organized by volunteers such as us, okay, who give some of their time to really support the community. And if you're not aware, we're also running an event in March, diversity. I will share a link afterwards if you haven't already signed up for that. It's also a hybrid event, and I will be speaking at this event as well. So if you are not tired of hearing my voice, you will hear it again. So in terms of TLA Black Women Tech, our success has been really about curating great content and also allowing great conversations. So we have a fireside chat that you can watch the videos of successful Black women in terms of their journey, what they've done, but also we run monthly events. So remember, the second Thursday of every month, we have an event running, okay? So in March, we are going in person, but also keeping it hybrid. So if you can't be in London and want to attend, you can watch it online. It will be live on Instagram, okay? What else I want to tell you? I want to present this myself, and the lovely Kylie Stennett is part of the team as well. But you also have a Suki Fuller, Echo Account, and Rachel, who have been there since the beginning. And obviously, I'm not the only one you have to harass, okay? You can also go to them if you have a question you want to ask them. The beautiful thing this year, we have formed a great committee, and obviously Kate is part of the committee members. And so we are extended across the UK, and as much as Ireland with Ellen and Rose, Danielle, Dudu, Kaylee, Melissa, and Deborah Vomack. So please do reach out to fantastic women who have different roles and responsibilities. As I mentioned, we are running events on a regular basis, and we always aim to provide events that are really can speak to anybody, so you don't have to be a Black woman to attend our events. But obviously what we do differently is that we put Black women on a pedestal. And in the next event is navigating your way out of middle management, and that's going to be done in partnership with Dutch Bank. So Dutch Bank is actually our sponsor. So please, I invite you to come. We're gonna have some goodies. So for coming back in-person events. So you're welcome to come. But we're also going to be having an event on Black female millionaires in tech, Black female and mid-Black men in tech. That's probably going to be an event for the summer, and so much more. We're talking about AI and unconscious biases and so much more. So if you have any event suggestion, obviously this is not set in stone. If you want us to speak about something else, I invite you to reach out to us. What else? Obviously, if you're not familiar, we obviously have members platform on our website. You can create your free membership account. Everything is free with us because we love you and want to make sure that you succeed. So please feel free to brag about us, okay, as well. So you can watch some of the past recordings, and I really advise you to watch because some really fantastic speakers. And I even included a meditation library, so people who don't know, if we're too stressed right now, do take the meditation. It's very helpful. And obviously, you get a fantastic newsletter from us on a weekly basis. updates. Obviously, The Voices in the Shadow Volume 2 is coming out this October. The nominations are open until the 30th of March 2022. So if you know a fantastic Black woman, if you are a fantastic Black woman, I advise you to apply. It's very simple. Okay, so please apply. Don't let your imposter syndrome kick in. Okay, apply, you never know. And we're going to select another 51 amazing Black women who are going to be sharing their story. All right, so please, you have until the 30th of March, and we're not going to extend it this time because we have a lot of things happening. So also, we are super excited that obviously we're doing a lot of great things with schools. So some of our women in tech are going to be visiting St. Marylebone School to give a talk. And we're going to be doing more and more activities. So obviously at the back, on the back of the book, this initiative, and obviously the schools are excited to meet all these amazing women to inspire the young girls to dream big. So we're really excited about that. So this is happening. What's happening in Volume 2? So obviously people are familiar with Volume 1. So the Voice in the Shadow Volume 1, we did a very small event which was only limited to sponsors and a woman from the book. But this time we decided to open, it's going to be a full-on public event. So every attendee will get a copy of the book, a tote bag and goodies, and full access obviously to all the event, and obviously meet our sponsors and obviously the fantastic brands. So room 1 will be about talks where you can really have a conversation about, and again, we're going to bring back NFT in this room and so much more, inspirational talks as well. And room 2 is going to be a room where people can meet, greet the tech brands and have conversation about career opportunities, whatever it is, Apple, Google, Deutsche Bank, you know, whatever, all these great brands. And in room 3, this is where you can chat as loud as you want and get your photo taken and look like a superstar, look £1 million. So I'm really excited about that. And with the interviews and so much more. So the tickets will be soon available. I say soon, but not too soon. It'll be soon available for you to get to attend to this. So we're going to tell you more when we get to this place. As I mentioned, our event in March is about navigating your way out of middle management and influencing your industry and rising above the stereotype. I can tell you already we have amazing speakers such as Toyota is going to be talking and women from Deutsche Bank. You really don't want to miss this. And again, the physical tickets will be limited. Obviously, the hybrid ticket will not be limited. So please do sign up as soon as, obviously, only sign up if you committed to it. Yes, because I would be very upset if you sign up and don't turn up. And I will block you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So yes, so now enough of me. And I guess you really want to hear what the speakers have to say. So I'm going to pass it over to Kate, who's going to be our moderator.
Fabulous. Thank you, Flavella, and welcome everybody. It's lovely to see so many participants on the call today. So as Flavella said, I am the secretary of the TLA Black Women in Tech Committee, and I am also the head of sales enablement for Getty Images. And it's my great pleasure to be the moderator of today's event. So with us this evening, we have Seyi Awatunde, who is going to be talking to us about what NFTs are and the business opportunities that they could provide for us. He's going to be talking for about 15 minutes. There will then be an opportunity for you all to ask questions. If things spring to mind while he's talking, put them in the chat, or if you are super courageous and want to come off mute, that's also okay. So Seyi, with no further ado, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kate, for the very warm welcome. It's an honor to be here tonight, this evening. Greetings to everybody that's on this call. I'm really excited about this session. When I was asked to speak in it, I said, absolutely, I'm really, really excited. Without further ado, my name is Seyi Lufa Awatunde. I run a new luxury NFT marketplace called Delincier, which is going live next month, which I'm super, super excited about. But I think, yeah, the whole purpose behind today's session is to really educate everybody on what exactly the buzzword NFT is. NFT stands for the term non-fungible token. What I'll do now is I'll share my screen and we'll kind of deep dive for the next 14 minutes into the session. So for me, NFTs are really, really special. I won't be lying when I say it's completely changed my life. I know that's a very cliche saying, but it most definitely really, really has. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video on NFTs, And then I'll kind of give you a little bit of a backstory on myself. And then we're going to really deep dive into NFTs. Quite interestingly, this is actually the first video I found on my personal research into NFTs. And it was really, really beneficial. And I think I'll start by saying, for me, what is an NFT to me? An NFT for me represents a means of selling. So a method of selling which is based on cryptocurrencies. If I was to strip away fancy words, that's ultimately what I'd call an NFT. But I'd love you guys to watch this video as well. And hopefully it'll give you like a bit of a better understanding in regards to what an NFT really is. And then we'll go into some other bits as well.
So I'm going to describe what an NFT is in the most basic terms I can. NFT stands for non-fungible token. Fungible means something is able to be exchanged or substituted and will hold the same value. It's interchangeable, like the dollar, gold, casino chips, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or frequent flyer loyalty points. If I lend you $10 cash and you return to me 2 $5 banknotes, I'm fine with that because even though they are different, they hold the same total value. They're fungible. So non-fungible obviously means it's an asset that can't be substituted. It has unique attributes that make it different from something else in the same asset class, like a painting, a theatre ticket, a house, a video game skin, a trademark, or a CryptoKitty, which was the first real use case to take off on the Ethereum blockchain in 2017.
I'll just quickly stop it here because I think it's showing enough of it, but I just want to deep dive into some of the things that were mentioned on this video. So what does the word fungible mean? And it's really important understanding what that word means. So I'll give you a really classic example, pounds, for those that are based in the UK. So, Kate, if I came up to you with £20 notes and you had 2 £10 notes and we changed that, all we've done is substituted another asset of the same class, so no one has lost anything. Likewise, you can even do that in theory with cryptocurrency. So for instance, if I had 1 Bitcoin and someone else on this call had the equivalent in Ethereum, if we substituted that, again, we've just changed something of the same asset class that holds the same value. So nothing has been lost. But in what non-fungible is of course the complete opposite. So for instance, a house, even if I built Flavia's house next door to where she lives, it's not a house. Even if it was brick by brick, it's identical. It doesn't have the same properties. It wasn't built the same time. The paint wasn't manufactured in the exact same year. So it's different. It has very unique attributes to it. Now apply that logic and put it on what's called a blockchain. A blockchain is a record of transactions, and the token element gives you what's called an NFT. So hopefully that gives you guys a bit of a more rounded understanding of what an NFT is. But what I'm also going to do now is kind of give you guys a bit of an insight into.
I don't know what you are doing. Come on.
Everybody,
So, yeah,
if you could go on mute, please, that would be great, unless you're speaking. Thank you.
So this is now an advert behind my company. So for me, like I was saying beforehand, I look at NFTs as a means of selling. So with that means of selling, while we're seeing it commonly used within the art world, I personally believe that there's opportunities that are kind of endless with it. And I feel like it's going to completely revolutionize the way we do everything, from the way we sell properties, from the way we sell jewelry, pretty much everything. But what I kind of noticed a gap in the market, and it's not to knock the existing platforms, they're all doing an incredible job. And without them, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in today. But there was a gap I noticed whereby everyone was kind of doing platforms that were very reminiscent of OpenSeas. So OpenSeas, for those that aren't aware, is the leading NFT platform. To paint a picture for you, they're very reminiscent of like an eBay or like an Amazon. So that for me, I found all the platforms are very reminiscent of that. So what I didn't see was the opposite end of the spectrum. So I didn't see a platform that resembled like a Fortnum and Masons or a Harrods or Selfridges. And then I said, I noticed the whole buying experience as well within NFTs wasn't particularly very fun in my opinion. So I decided to merge that with the virtual reality and in the metaverse to build this all-encompassing platform that would sell it all, from like 18-karat gold membership cards to 4-karat black diamond rings to custom-built cars. But I'll give you guys a bit of a sneak peek of my advert, which is actually premiering soon. So as mentioned slightly beforehand, the name of my company is called Delicier, and Delicier is all about connecting high net worth individuals with digital, physical, and experience-based NFTs. Now to even look slightly deeper into NFTs in regards to what NFTs actually represent. So I'm not sure if some people on the call are probably familiar with Pokemon cards. We've got something that's very reminiscent of that called crypto collectibles. And those are digital assets which are traded online, and people, continuously, you'll notice they'll go up in their price. And it's really, really quite an exciting space. You also have things like digital artwork as well. So you imagine like a digital version of the Mona Lisa, which again is quite a really, really special piece. But again, because I think one of the things that make NFTs quite interesting is, whereas typically, for instance, pounds is obviously based on pounds, with Ethereum, which accounts for 85 to 90% of NFTs, it's the currency which is used. Because of what's called a smart contract, you have the ability to create what's called a smart contract. So the smart contract is programmable code. With that programmable code, you have the ability to insert things in there like royalties, and the royalties apply to every single secondary sale. So gone are the days where the typical art world whereby artists are ripped off for centuries. In a space like this, which is really enhanced by the community, you have artists that are not only making money from their primary sale, they're also making additional revenue from the pieces being resold on. So you imagine you creating a piece of art, and the 10th time it's being sold on by someone else, you receive a royalty payment on that instantly as soon as the piece has been sold. And one of the great things with it is, with the royalties, you have the ability to go up to 30%. But I'd say it's pretty much market standard that people are doing between 5 to 15%. You have stuff like domain names as well. So back in the 2000s, there was the massive .com boom. We've got the exact same thing within crypto as well. So you've got the ability to purchase domains, crypto domains, off platforms like Unstoppable Domains. You have ENS as well, which is Ethereum, so servers, which I can supply everybody with some of the details of that. And I'll give you an example of one as well. So back in 2017, someone bought beer.eth for less than $20. We fast forward to last year, and that very same person accepted an offer from Budweiser Budweiser bought that same domain for $100,000. Not too shabby increase in a matter of years. You have things like in-game purchases as well. So Minecraft are one of the biggest gaming companies in the world. They have something like 160 million monthly active users. They've partnered up with Sandbox to actually create in-game purchases as NFTs. You imagine just even 10% of their network buying in-game items as NFTs, the type of revenue they could generate. We all know in this call, there'll be well more than 10% that are doing in-game purchases, but just even at that, it becomes very, very lucrative. On top of it just being from the initial sell in terms of the resales as well, which I think is a very, very big thing within the NFT space. You have the Metaverse as well, so the virtual universe, where we're seeing, again, items being displayed as well as being bought in. We have Facebook even changing their name to Meta. You have real world assets as well as like tickets to an event. And I'll show you two examples very quickly of some real world assets that I've personally done. So this is a custom built car, a custom built Defender, which is going to be sold on my platform at launch. And when you purchase in the NFT, so this visual, the car will be shipped anywhere around the world. Diamond ring, but I'll show you the membership card. It's 18 karat gold membership card. With the membership cards, I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's two tiers to it. So there's one that has 2 diamonds. That represents called Club M. That represents people that have crypto maximalists that have over $1 million in crypto. And then you have Club K, whereby it's people that have over 100,000 in crypto. With it, the utility I've put behind those membership cards are, aside from them being quite nice, they also have utility in a sense of you're able to get stuff like discount off private jets, as well as things like discount off exclusive golf courses around the world. One of them being Tiger Woods' actual personal golf course, and a few other really, really exciting things that I've also attached to it. And I think some things that make NFTs different from like your typical cryptocurrency, I think first and foremost, in terms of them being unique. So this is a permanent, unattainable record, similar to like a certificate of authenticity, which you would receive with a rare painting. Second, again, back to that whole rare element to it, scarcity is a really important ingredient that makes NFTs so attractive to people. And I think one of the things that really interested me personally with this space was when I'd done my research into the market cap of it. So back in 2017, NFTs were worth $30 million, the whole space. By 2018, that figure rose to $180 million. By 2019, that figure became 210 million. And by 2020, that it rose to 250 million. The predictions were at the start of last year that the space would go to 1.3 billion, which of course is a massive rise off that 250 million. But would you believe me if I actually told you guys that it actually rose to over $12 billion in sales in one calendar year? And I think if we looked into why that's happening, I say if we just narrow down again and look at the growth in users. So back in 2017, the number of people that owned the NFT was 58,000 people. By last year, that number had risen to over 1 million people who owned the NFT. So it just kind of goes to show the pace at which this space is moving. coupled with the fact that you've got massive big brands who've entered the space and also acquiring companies within it as well. And none less than Nike, who very recently acquired a digital footwear company within the NFT space. You have Louis Vuitton who have entered the space. You have NBA who've done over $300 million across 2 days in sales. You have the likes of BBC, Warner Music, Samsung, the latest Samsung TVs now, you actually have the ability to attach your NFTs to it. If you look at Twitter, Instagram, you can actually make you can connect your NFTs to make those your avatars. And we're seeing a lot of stuff like that. And I think one thing that's also quite important to say is NFTs aren't limited to the Ethereum blockchain. So Ethereum, yes, it does account for 85 to 90% of NFT sales. But if you look, there's other tokens and other blockchains which support NFTs, such as Tron, EOS, Neo, Flow. You even have like Secret Network and a few other ones. And I think I'll end with this point, that this represents a new avenue for adults without a bank. And it goes without saying that 1.3 billion adults around the world don't actually have a UK bank account. But this, in my opinion, represents a new way for them to protect and also build their wealth. I'm conscious of time, so we have unfortunately come to the end of my presentation for now. But yeah, hopefully we do get a minute or two to answer some questions if possible.
We absolutely do have time for questions, and I'm sure there are many. As I said at the beginning, if you would like to put them in the chat, or even better, come off mute and ask your question, that would be fantastic. So there is a question from Kat. I think she might be still typing. Okay, how do you, oh, sorry, I've just lost it. How do you prevent NFTs being used to entrench existing structural inequalities, just as crypto is increasingly? The founder of Dogecoin recently said it's an inherently hyper-capitalistic technology built primarily to amplify the wealth of its proponents through a combination of tax avoidance, diminished regulatory oversight, and artificially enforced scarcity.
So I think for me, great question. I think for me, it's down to us as a community. And I say that from a standpoint of the wonderful thing about NFTs is this is built by a community. So us as the people, we dictate what's said in the space. And I think for me, it's really important that everybody has a voice in this space, and that is really represented in the NFTs that we see, and on the platforms that are seen as well. So I think, yeah, as platform owners, as curators in the space, it's almost our duty to ensure that everyone's voice is heard. But I feel like that is most definitely being done by different means, and it's something that I've taken very serious as well. In terms of ensuring that not only men are represented, but also women very strongly are represented as well in the space, from exhibitions to artworks to ensuring that the number of people that in the exhibitions that I'm doing is equally split. I hope that answers that question.
And Chizoba, you have your hand up.
Yes, hi, Shay. So what you've shown is a lot of opportunities for people in the ultra high net worth space to get in and invest. What other opportunities are there for people kind of starting out, getting into the NFT space, whether it's investing or just within the whole eco space? What's available for people who maybe aren't getting a diamond level of membership?
Of course. I was just showing you in terms of what I'm personally doing from my perspective. But in regards to, I'll give you a good example, OpenSeas. So OpenSeas is the biggest NFT platform in the space. They have a 70% market share of all of the sales. And one of the interesting stats with them is that 80% of the NFT sales on their platform are less than $600. So it just kind of goes to show that there's definitely opportunities there. And to actually back up my point as well, I'd actually show you a project called All Smiles, which I personally purchased myself. When I purchased this NFT 3 months ago, it's not Harry Pinera's one. He's someone I've helped in the space, but these NFTs I'll show you for purpose, for a particular reason. They were 0.1 Ethereum at 3 months ago. So that 0.1 Ethereum at the time was about $250. If you look today at the floor price, because of the rise of it, he's one of the leading artists in the space. He's now got a TV show, which has come off the success of the back of this. The floor price now, from that 0.1 ETH, we're talking less than 3 months ago, it's now risen to 1.72 Ethereum. So for perspective, that same piece that I got for $250, as you can see, with the current thing, it's like $5,500 now. So just kind of goes to show that represents a 17x. At one point, it actually gone up to a 26x. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities, I'd say, within the space, and it's not limited to you having 20 grand to spend on a membership card, from as little as even $100. And again, I'll give you one last example. The first NFT I personally bought, I didn't want to spend a lot of money, so I said, let me spend $49 on it. And I've done my research into it and whatnot, and I helped the artists in terms of from a branding perspective. 3 days later, someone had bid $64 on it. So that's an increase of 29% in only 3 days. What happened off the back of that was, cut a long story short, he went on to sell another 3 pieces priced at $800 each. Bear in mind, I bought his first NFT. So it could be argued that my NFT is worth over $1,000. So that would represent a 16x again in less than 3 weeks. Once that happened to me, it really got my full attention. And I was like, yeah, this space isn't a joke. It's definitely something for me to take very, very seriously.
So thank you again, Shay, for your very comprehensive answers. I know there's a load more questions in the chat, but I'm conscious also of time. So what I suggest we do is move on to the next speaker. We will have time at the end to consolidate all of these questions, so we'll maybe come back to them at that point, if that's okay with everybody.
Thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate the questions as well. And yeah, my details are in the chat as well if anyone wants to catch up and take it offline. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to hear from Lavinia Osborne, who is going to talk about how to get involved with NFTs as a side hustle. Lavinia, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kate. I've got a bit of a cough, so you're going to have to bear with me. Slide. Okay, can you see my slides? Are they moving? Bear with me a second while I move it. Yeah, they moving?
They are. Yeah.
Right. All right. So, first of all, I really appreciate being a part of this talk. I think it's really important to have diverse voices, particularly because it is Black women in tech. And I think it was quite key, the question that I believe it was Kate asked about enforcing old hierarchies of power and NFTs, wealth and all of that. For me, NFTs and the whole blockchain space is an opportunity to create paradigm shifts, and they are creating paradigm shifts by removing the middleman. And as I go into my presentation, I am the founder of Women in Blockchain Talks. Women in Blockchain Talks is all about highlighting the dynamic voices of the many women who are already in blockchain. I started this just over 2 years and a bit. So at the time, they weren't as visible as they are now. And I can positively say that I know I've added to the scene by not just being in it, but by shining that spotlight on the many women in the space. And so Women in Blockchain Talks is not about excluding men. It's about just shining a spotlight and emphasizing that more women need to come into the space. I believe NFTs are a great pathway for many women to come into the space. The numbers speak for themselves in regards to tech, in regards to finance, and in regards to blockchain on a whole, in regards to gender disparity. When you look at NFTs, there was a report that came out at the end of last year, you know, and I just to say, I love Shay's project, but one of the things that I'm very mindful of in this space, and it's great that he's mindful of it, and he said he's very positive about, you know, or mindful or intentional about bringing in different types of diversity and women into the space. But last year, a report showed that only 5% of sales in NFT sales were made by women. 5% only. What universe are we living in where only 5% of women, and there's more than 5% women in the space, right? There's a number of women, there's lots of women in this space. Some of them are doxed. Doxed means that they openly show their identity, others are not. And the report also showed that 17% were, they didn't actually give a gender. 2% were like non-binary. So basically 70+% of NFT sales in the marketplace were by men. Why is that? I have some answers, but I don't have factual answers. They're more opinions. So with that being said, I just wanted to touch on that because I think it's a very important point for the many women who are listening to this, to just be aware, not of the challenges, but of the opportunity to come into this space. And I am creating solutions and pathways to try and help overcome this. But of course, you know, it has to be, as Shay touched upon, it has to be a community effort and not just a singular effort. Because if there's one thing about the NFT space, it is about community. It's fundamental to building a business, building a brand, making sales, creating legacy, and all that good stuff. So again, my name is Lavinia Osborne. I'm the founder, host of Women in Blockchain Talks. I'm a blockchain NFT strategist and consultant, individual winner of Tech Women 100 2020. Selected for Wirex Rising Women in Crypto Power List 2021. Nominee for Community Organization Award for the National Diversity Award, financial wellbeing business coach, international speaker, diversity activist, and investor and crowdfunder. Some of my accolades over the last, I would say, 12 months. I speak on a number of the top sort of blockchain NFT platforms. I spoke at NFT London this year, which was a side event for NFT New York. I write for Cointelegraph. I've been featured on them numerous times. And also at the end of last year, I was listed as one of LinkedIn's top voices in technology and innovations. And one of the reasons why they chose me, because there were people there, Facebook, NASA, Amazon, and IBM. I'm a very small fish, very, very tiny fish compared to those companies. But LinkedIn said they chose me because I bring diversity to the space. And this for me is, you know, very important, of course, as a woman, as a Black woman in tech and in blockchain. So, of course, Shay's touched on what is an NFT, but I can't talk about NFTs or side hustles without just giving an overview. So non-fungible tokens, you know what non-fungible is now. One-of-a-kind digital assets that can take the form of a GIF, tweets, and more. They exist on the blockchain currency, generally Ethereum, and they give the buyer digital ownership rights. Key fundamentals of an NFT: it's virtual, it's verifiable, it's decentralized, it's not interchangeable, it's distinguishable, it has unique characteristics, and it's immutable. And of course, a lot of these characteristics, these fundamentals, are, of course, aligned to the blockchain ecosystem in the sense it's decentralized, it's immutable, and It can't, once it's on the blockchain, you can't change the data, you can't change the information regarding that recording of a node of that block, so to speak. I think it's really good to help putting things in a visual format, in a form of an infographic. It really helps people to kind of break down the process and the understanding of how NFTs works. So this is something that I have put together for my community. And so let's just, and as I go through this, you know, this is relevant to someone who wants to buy an NFT, create an NFT, or just sell an NFT. And there is a difference, obviously, between creating and selling. You may buy and then you sell at a later date. So there's elements of this that are applicable to the buying process, the selling process, and the creation process. So we're looking at it as a whole. So we're starting from you as a creator. So before I touch on, before I just go on to each point of this image, we talk about NFTs as a side hustle. Now, when I personally think about NFTs as side hustles, there are two key aspects that I think about. You as an artist. So, you know, there's many artists out there and they have full-time jobs and they would love to give up their job, right? And there's many case studies out there. It's easy to Google where individuals have made more money selling NFTs in a month than they did from a job their whole year, okay? And one of the things I love about NFTs is I see some of these case studies on Twitter. If you're going to go into the NFT space, the two key platforms you need to be on is Twitter, Discord. Okay, Twitter is such a great place to connect with like-minded people, to get started, to see how the market is progressing, is moving, to jump on Twitter Spaces, and ultimately get involved. It's, you know, the thing with NFTs, it's very creative, which is why I feel it's a great pathway to bring more women into the space. And I'm going to touch on that in a little bit further down, further into this presentation. So as an artist, of course, you can be creating NFTs and still be working a full-time job. And in doing that, you start to build up your profile, you start to build up your brand. And of course, you know, Shay just talked about an artist. And of course, you know, you really have to look at the whole picture of an artist. I know many successful artists in this space. SupDocs, he's a graphic designer based out in America, and he's been in this space for such a long time. Timing is also really important. It's still a nascent technology. We are still early, so please don't think that one is too much to learn or it's too late for you to get started. It's not too late. People are still writing books. People have been writing books since time immemorial. People still paint pictures and get it into the gallery. People have been painting, you know, since time immemorial. So don't limit yourself or put excuses in front of yourself as to what you can do in this space. It is new, it is technical. You do need to learn certain things, and it is a huge learning curve. But as I always say to my community, you're a pioneer, and as a pioneer, you get to lead from the front. And this is something that is so important for me in regards to women coming into tech, women coming into blockchain. Blockchain to me is an opportunity for women to lead from the front rather than chasing from behind. So I talked about artists, being an artist, but not everybody is an artist. Not everybody can draw, you know. So what's the other area if you're looking to do this on a side hustle? Collecting. You can become a collector. As Shay touched upon, one of his first collections was only $49, and then it increased in value. That's not going to happen all the time, especially as the space becomes more busy. You know, there's a lot of people jumping on. You've got to be so aware, you know, of scams and things like that. But as Shay touched upon, there are still so many opportunities. And this is why I say, if you're going to come into the space, go into Twitter, start, look at who you're following, start following them, join their communities, join the Twitter spaces. Okay, so those are, in my opinion, if you're going to use NFTs as a side hustle, those are the two. You're going to be an artist, creating, or you're going to be a collector, right? All right, so the first thing you need to do is you need to create an item. So you've created a drawing, you've created an audio. There's different platforms. As Shay touched upon, there's OpenSea, there's Rarible, and each platform does have distinct features, okay? So for example, Rarible has lazy minting. Lazy minting is where you don't have to pay for the minting up front because it can be quite costly. And there are pros and cons to this, of course. So you've created your item, you've registered on an NFT platform, OpenSea, Rarible, Known Origin. That's another one that has a creation model. So that basically means you can't just get onto Known Origin. You actually have to apply to be on it. Then you connect your crypto wallet to an NFT platform. So most people do use Ethereum. So we're looking at MetaMask. Then you upload your NFT to the site, you add a description, you stipulate terms. Shay talked about smart contracts. So you may stipulate in those terms that if my item sells on the secondary market, I've put this price on it for now, but if it sells on the secondary market, at any time in the future, I will get 10% of those sales or 15% of those sales. And then of course you put a description about the actual item that you've uploaded. You create your NFT, aka you mint it, and you pay the gas fees. Again, in regards to the gas fees, it could be, if you're doing lazy minting, someone else will pay for that. You set a bidding price and the duration. And so this comes into the auction element of NFTs. And then once it's been approved by the website, buyers can then view and bid. Auction finishes, and if it's sold, then the website regulates the transfer of the NFT. So again, this whole process is looking at it from a creator's point of view. But if you're buying, you're also looking at it from, are you going to get involved with an NFT? From you have to go onto a platform, create your account, add your wallet, then you would get involved in the auction, and then of course once you've bought, it would then be transferred to your wallet. And then of course you wait a while, you watch the market, you're in the community to see what utilities are being backed behind it, watching the floor price, and then of course you can then flip it and sell it. So there's a lot of people who are in this space who are just flipping NFTs.
And Lavinia, we've probably got time for the last slide.
Oh my God, have I gone over the 15? Oh my gosh. All right, so things
Just about there.
All right, so things to consider: minting a platform, what platform you're going to use, the gas fees. Also, you need to think about the community. Also, your design, your mission, your marketing, collaborations, and also wallet and safety. This is really, really important, making sure that as you are online, that you are being safe. We have created Women in Blockchain Talks. We felt like the Metaverse user needed to have a female touch. So we've created a butterfly NFT for our community, but people outside of the community can purchase it. And it's at like $60 at the present moment. So these are ways, again, for individuals to purchase their first NFT, do it within a community that has standing, and wants to bring more females, more women into the space. So yeah, that is about it. So thank you for listening, and I'm sorry that I overran.
Oh, it's very okay. This is really fascinating. So Lavinia, there's some questions in the chat. So is the point to purchase an NFT with the expectancy that someone else will buy it at a higher rate due to popularity or exclusivity?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at just, if you look at Business 101, it's all about supply and demand, isn't it? So when you think about NFTs, there's only a limitation, like maybe 10,000 are created. Like for the Women in Blockchain Talks community, we are on a mission to bring 50,000 women into the space. and we're only creating about, I think it's like 6,000 or 10,000 butterflies. So of course, once all the butterflies are gone, then all those people coming into the community, there will be a potentially, hopefully, a demand for it, but there's only a limited amount of supply. So yeah.
So another question, how do you create your own NFT?
Well, first of all, you can create an image, and an NFT can be an audio, it can be a GIF, it can be all sorts of anything that's creative ultimately. And what an NFT ultimately is a digital asset. So it only becomes an NFT once it's minted onto the blockchain. If it's just, you know, if you've got a picture of your family, for example, it's just a picture of your family. But if that's then uploaded via one of these platforms and it's minted on the blockchain, then it becomes an NFT. Does that answer the question?
Wasn't my question, but whoever asked it, hang on, I just scrolled past. Let me just check who posted it. It was Francine.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Francine?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, fabulous. Fabulous.
So I just want to quickly, because my screen, I just want to say that I do have an ebook. It's called What Have NFTs Got to Do with Me? It has that image in it, and it also talks about some of the questions that are coming up. So I'll share that link in the chat.
Fantastic. I think we've got time for a couple more before we move on. Quick question. What are the best metrics to consider when buying an NFT? How do you know if it will grow in value? I guess that's the killer question.
Look at the creator. Look at the brand of the creator. So, okay, so first there's a couple of things. You can go on to OpenSea, and there's something that just captures your soul. You're just like, I just love that piece. Just like you would buy, you know, a piece of art, or maybe that artist has a following, right? And they've just created a one-of-one. It's not necessarily a project. So you might just purchase just because your spirit calls you to buy it. You might even buy it. I know people who bought NFTs to support someone's project. You know, they've liked the image, but they also like the person and what the person stands for. When you're looking at certain bigger projects or pricier things, you need to look at the community. Is there utility? Utility means like, are there things behind the NFT that's going to add value to the NFT? You know, is the person online? Are they active? Are they involved with the community, helping community build? What are other people saying about it? How long have they been around? And also, what does it stand for? What's the mission? Because, you know, one person's mission that talks to somebody may not speak to someone else. You know, there's lots of women-led PFP projects. PFP stands for profile picture projects. And for some people, they just don't care about gender disparity or gender equality or supporting women, but they just don't care. But for some other people, that project is for them because it's aligned with what they stand for, you know? So you have to look at all of that, but always look at the community, how active it is, who the creator is, how active they are online. And those sort of things will help you to make a decision as to whether it's a project you want to invest in. And in regards to whether it's going to grow in value, it's difficult to say. It truly is. So everything is a risk. It is an investment to a degree, but ultimately you can have fun with this, but always never spend more than you can afford to lose or that you can afford to. And I'll end on that point.
Fabulous. Thank you, Lavinia. And just on that point about supporting the community, the TLA Black Women community will themselves be creating an NFT collection. So watch this space. It's coming soon. Thank you once again, Lavinia. That was really fascinating. Time now to move on to Jimmy Daudu. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. Jimmy, can't see you now. He is going to talk to us about the world of the metaverse and the business and career opportunities within it. So Jimmy, over to you.
Hi. First of all, thank you all for having me here. Such an honor and privilege to be here. Let's start with me. I'm Jimmy, Nigerian by birth, became British last year, and I feel, hey, I don't need to apply for a couple of visas anymore. But from background perspective, academically, first degree in computer science, a master's in advanced computing, and just finishing up an MBA at the University of Warwick. Professionally, came up from IT, change management, project management, worked through the hospitality industry, working with Expedia in Paris, worked through financial services for Barclays, where I led a divestment program separating Barclays from their South African subsidiary, and then moved into telecommunications, working at a company in London where I quit my day job in December to focus on Voltil fully. And it's been an amazing journey. I got into crypto back in 2017. Everyone was raving around Bitcoin, XRP, a whole lot of XRP. I still have my XRP from 2017 December. I was still waiting for it to get to $5. Fingers crossed. And for some reason, I stumbled upon virtual land. And it was a funny one because, I was born and brought up in Nigeria. And from an investment perspective, it's always, hey, if you don't have money we don't have a lot of mortgages out there in Nigeria. And, a lot of people hold cash to buy, houses and all of that stuff. And, you start off buying, land. You wait a couple of years, save some money, fence your land, build a foundation, first story, second story, and you get it completed. And when I heard about this in 2017, it just took me back to Nigeria, and it was like, hey, I'm just going to buy land. I don't know what to do with it. I didn't even know what an NFT was back in the day. It was an NFT apparently. And yeah, I got a couple in the Decentraland, Sumium space, and yeah, just sat on it, And fast forward to early last year, one of the pieces of land I bought at $200 in Sumium space sold for about $10,000. And for me, it wasn't necessarily the ROI or the money behind it. It was value. It was the fact that someone somewhere had looked at this and said, hey, I want to pay this amount for it. Going back to Shay and Lavinia's point around, the floor price of NFTs, the appreciation, the scarcity, and all of that good stuff. And it got me thinking. I've always been an entrepreneur, from the early days back in the university, events, selling, okay, let's not go there, selling contraband, what's the word? Food in a 7-day Adventist university, which wasn't allowed, to hosting events, to making custom velvet slippers. I've been around the block for a while, also doing a day job at the same time. And for me, I felt it was about time to make that transition to actually start something in the blockchain space. And the idea of virtual land, virtual reality came about. And for some reason, I started doing some research and trying to understand the space to understand, hey, how can we solve real world problems with these applications? And how can we make sure we're enhancing experiences through this? And, it got me thinking, did a couple of research, reached out to a couple of folks that, we've had a couple of similar interests and businesses together, and we birthed out Voltil. And Voltil is a human-centric metaverse. We started this back in February, but formally in May. This was way before, Mark said Meta and Metaverse. So, I'd say I was still part of the pioneers, trying to shape what this space is about. But I'm just going to share my screen real quick. I just have 2 slides. Unfortunately, it's been a busy period for us at Voltil. And when we talk about human centricity, right, what we're doing is bringing experiences into the virtual world. What we're doing at Voltil is we're creating 4 islands across 4 years. And each of those islands are going to have 7 districts. And by the way, guys, I'm going to educate you on Metaverse using my own project as a case study and hone into business development opportunities and career opportunities as I talk through this. So, bear with me on this. And with with the first island, we're creating 7 districts, and each of those 7 districts are human themed. And what do I mean by that? So the first 2 districts we're going live with this year are play and vitality. We have others like curiosity, community, idealism, creativity, and the likes. But what we're doing here is, again, something truly unique, which is what we're already manifesting in. And this also comes in from a business development perspective, how you look at a value chain of a company, look at their business model, and see how you can optimize and enhance that for them. And I'll give you a good example, which is a use case and our first client within the Vitality District, which is Today Fit, a fitness company in Hong Kong. So if you want a personal fitness, personal trainer anywhere in the world, you go to their app, you pay 250 Hong Kong dollars, and you get a personal trainer. What we're doing for them is bringing virtual reality into their space and taking them into our metaverse as well, which will be launched later this year. Now, we've created VR for mindfulness for them, and they're able to start charging their customers 350 to 400 Hong Kong dollars, and we get a small markup for that as well per customer that comes in. But out of that experience, we're taking 5 minutes of that and dropping it into our metaverse in Vitality. So on a Friday night or a Tuesday night, you know, Kate or Shay, you guys are bored, you want to do stuff, jump into your VR headset, come to Vault Hill, and you can experience, you know, a 5-minute session. And if you want more, then you subscribe to that and you buy it. But what we're now looking to do within our ecosystem is a couple of things, right? Very ambitious project, guys, very, very ambitious, you know, when we talk about metaverse. And coming back to the education of metaverse, what is a metaverse? It's a virtual shared space that has a couple of attributes. Digital economy, NFTs, creating content for content creators and for brands, you know, leveraging all of that good stuff with a blockchain, you know, accountability, uniqueness, right, scarcity, you know, all of this shapes into the metaverse. But when everyone keeps using the word metaverse out there, you come on the screen, you look at this, no. It has to be an experience, either in augmented reality or virtual reality or a mix of both, you know. And at Vault Hill, we're looking at all of this together within our 4 ecosystems. I've talked about number 1, which is the metaverse, where we're creating districts and islands, selling virtual land as an NFT. And with your virtual land, you could do every and anything in the real world apart from leaving it. So you could, you know, host an event, set up a concert, do this meeting. We could, you know, once we're up and running, we could actually have, you know, one of the TLA events, you know, later this year on the Vault Hill Metaverse. You guys could build your studio in there as well and showcase your work. From an NFT perspective, you know, designers, you know, content creators can buy land and then, you know, build galleries on there and associate their NFTs in there and also sell that as a transaction. So from a career perspective, you're looking at product designers, you're looking at graphic designers, you're looking at 3D technical artists, you're looking at, you know, smart contract developers from a blockchain perspective, you're looking at architecture. You know, our head of architecture, Carlos, he's one of the guys that built, part of the architectural team that built the landing deck in Burj Al Arab in Dubai. And he was the one that did the slide before, which is the development plan for Vault Hill. You know, and then we're bringing our metaverse to life with 2 things. One, we're also creating a no-code builder tool. So if you're talking technicalities around how do I actually build on this? You know, yes, I buy virtual land as an NFT artist. Do I bank it? Maybe, maybe not. Or could I do something with it? You can do something with it. We're providing those tools and functionalities for you to be able to do that. We've also partnered with HTC. So our land sales coming up next month. For every piece of virtual land, you get the HTC glasses, again, to bring it to life for you, you know, to aid adoption in this space. So when we're talking about metaverse and virtual reality, we're giving you all of those tools to bring it to life. And then the next is around the NFT marketplace. I'm not going to dive into what a marketplace is. Shay and Lavinia has done that, you know, a whole lot of justice. But for us, we need it within our ecosystem to make all of this come to life. And then number 3, avatars. The profile, my display picture on the flyer for this event was my avatar. We had a Battle of Avatar challenge in January with Vault Hill. and we partnered with Ready Player Me for that. But for us at Voltil, the avatar section is very special personally to me. We're kicking this off later this year and partnering with a couple of companies. But when we talk about avatar, you start to see an opportunity from a business perspective around fashion. If I look at Africa, there's about almost $1 trillion worth of NFTs and digital fashion untapped. You know, a lot of designers out there still don't know how to monetize their brands, you know, create catalogs and collections for that. And that is what we're looking to tap into. Personally, for me, what I want to do and what I'm trying to get the team to do is look at how we partner with fashion schools in Africa, in Asia, underrepresented brand. You might not have the privilege to go on, you know, the London Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, but you could actually do that in a Voltil City Metaverse, where we do a fashion show, get all of this underrepresented artists, you know, bring some known artists as well, do a runway show, you know, give them that exposure and platform, you know, reward the best designers with, you know, a studio and some virtual land, and also create a space for them to showcase their goods and services. So then you're now talking about, you know, 3D technical artists again. You're talking about, you know, fashion bloggers, fashion designers, content creators. You're talking about, you know, videographers. You know, the space is a lot, you know. And then we go into number 4 around XR consulting. And for us, we're looking at this in a number of ways. One of the products we're landing next in April is called the 22, where we're working with 22 NFT artists to gamify the NFT marketplace experience. And what do I mean by that? If I go to, as an NFT artist or a content creator selling NFTs or interested in NFTs, the experience is limited to the web, right? Which is just, hey, like Lavinia and Shay shared, you know, you come in, you upload your artwork, you mint it, you know, there's a price, and then you market, and then, you know, that's about it. What we're doing at Voltil is taking 2 steps more, whereby on our marketplace, you mint, you get your NFTs, you then get a URL that takes you to an AR-enabled, that gives you an AR-enabled link, so you can send that URL to anyone, anywhere in the world with an augmented reality smartphone. You're actually able to see their gallery or their creation within your space, like you're there, but not there, and then interact with it. And the second step is taking that into virtual reality, whereby you get another link that takes you to the Oculus Quest or the HTC Vive, and you're actually able to fully immerse yourself in that artist gallery. So again, taking it from, you know, the web to actually virtually immersing yourself in that artist environment and studio, and then selling that from there. And then lastly, we're looking at architectural development. So while I talked on all of these 4 things, you know, things come to mind. What are the kind of tools and technologies you need? It's not just the blockchain side around smart contracts. You're talking about 3 key technologies. You have blockchain, you have cloud, and then you have extended reality computing, extended reality technology, where you have augmented reality. Again, it's another facet on its own. You have virtual reality. You know, you use tools like Unity and Unreal Engine, you use Houdini, you use Twinmotion. These are things you could start to learn. A lot of tutorials on YouTube. I keep telling my friends in, I call it the traditional world now. I keep telling my friends in the traditional world that are doing things around DevOps, you know, full stack development, you know, product design. And I'm saying, guys, you need to learn about the blockchain. It's the application. Don't get carried away by, you know, Bitcoin going to 100 or 1 million. I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone likes that, but you need to start understanding the fundamentals of how this works. I was telling someone the other day that, you know, now that I'm in the space full time and I work with the product team, the devs and all of that, I understand the technologies we use in building smart contracts and all of that, you know. And one of the things that, you know, stood out for me was Chainlink, where you use Chainlink to bring in information for prices from external sources. If I had that information back in 2017 or 2018, I wouldn't have bought XRP. I'd have bought Chainlink. But, you know, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get at is trying to understand the dynamics of how you could start to appreciate the space. You know, we talk about tokenization, you know, the elimination of middlemen and all of those charges when you're making transactions to make the space great. So again, for us at Voltil and from a metaverse perspective, these are the kind of opportunities that are coming out there, and it's coming fast. You know, a couple of people are tapping into it. You know, you could look at this from a strategic perspective. How do you bring brands into the metaverse? How do you showcase how they can monetize their current products? How they can enhance the experiences they provide to their customers to increase the customer acquisition at a reduced price. You know, so again, the whole lot of things within the space that comes to life. But I'll pause for there. I know there's been a lot to unpack, and Kate was just about to give me that warning as well. But yeah, that was all I wanted to talk about around the metaverse.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jimmy. Fascinating presentation, as have all three of our speakers been. One question, and I'm going to scroll backwards through the questions. How are you competing with metaverse platforms like Decentraland?
We're coming for them. They're going to be in the rear view very soon. But what we're doing again is two things. One, we're strategically positioning ourselves around the human centricity of this and making sure that the way we design our products and the way we sell our products speaks to that human instinct. And the second is around the offering around extended reality. Decentraland have announced they're doing that, but they're not doing that right now. But ours is looking at how we gamify things like an NFT marketplace, which a lot of people are not doing, or a whole lot of people are, even OpenSea is not doing it at the moment. So again, there is you know, a market share there. Also, if I look at the journey we've been through in the less than a year we've been running, there are a lot of challenges we spotted along this that can turn into businesses, but we want to focus on the product and then jump back into that. So again, there are a lot of differentiating USPs that we have, and we're going to start getting that to the market as early as next month.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And sorry, just one last thing. I know we've been talking about inclusivity and diversity, and I personally want to talk about this just a minute. And it's very passionate with me. I'm part of Lavinia's group, which is Women in Blockchain Talks, and I'm an advocate of getting women in this space. I have an opportunity, I have a platform. I tell my team we're hiring, and I'm like, guys, I want to see female CVs at the top first. I'm not going to put a pause on what we're doing to get female CVs or female talent in, but I am very vocal about it, you know, at every point in time to say, hey guys, yes, you're recruiting for that role. When I'm talking to recruiters, I just want female candidates, not because I'm trying to fill a gender gap or a gender number. All my last 3 bosses have been female, and there's been a different way they've led the teams, they've handled things, and even the females on the team right now, I've seen that difference. You know, so for me, I'm a strong advocate of bringing women into this space because it's new. We need a lot of people, you know, a lot of women championing the cause on this as well.
Well said. Well said. Thank you, Jimmy. We have, well, we're a little bit running over, but I'm sure we will make up with it with the questions at the end. But that does not mean that we're going to deny Amelia her 15 minutes presentation. So last but by no means least, Amelia is going to be talking about the dark side of the metaverse and whether or not it is a fad. So Amelia Coleman, over to you.
Thank you so much. And can you just confirm you can see my screen? Yep. Yeah. Okay, great. Cool. Thank you guys all so much for sticking around to hear me. Amazing to be on a panel with all these incredible speakers and really love what everyone has to say. I am Amelia Coleman. I am a futurist, and I am going to talk about the dark side of the metaverse. So as a futurist, it's my job to know about the latest new and coming technologies and their potential impact on the future of business as well as the future of our lives. So one thing I am known for is not just looking at the opportunities of these new technologies, but also the potential risks of technologies. And I host the XR Star podcast on Spotify, and I also have an innovation newsletter and YouTube series called The Big Reveal. That's completely free if you want to check it out. So I talk about all this kind of stuff there. So the metaverse, we have already been hearing lots about the metaverse, but I want to make the point that to me, there's multiple definitions of the metaverse, in that there's the pre-Zuckerberg definition and the post-Zuckerberg definition. The pre-Zuckerberg definition to me was something I was starting to talk about in 2016, 2017. And this was all about I used to say that it's an infinite digital white space onto which we can design anything. And it was meant to be interoperable, which is very similar to how the internet is today, how you can just go from one website to another very easily, and also decentralized. So not having an owner, which is also very similar to how the internet currently works. But then in a post-Zuckerberg world, metaverse is actually taking on the meaning for what I think of as a multiverse. So we have all these different individual universes where they have their own ecosystem. Inside, you have an avatar specific to that universe. You have NFTs and digital assets specific to it, as well as cryptocurrency. And there doesn't seem to be a huge drive among the big tech leaders to start to share the data and information needed to move into an interoperable future, which was always kind of the bigger vision of Web 3.0. So I do think that we are going to start to see interoperability with NFTs and with avatars and with crypto tokens being able to be exchanged between these universes first. But will we ever reach a true metaverse by the traditional definition? Who knows? So one thing that I think is really important to keep in mind is that the original internet was created by technologists and academics with government oversight as a way to share information across geographic locations easily. Web 3.0, on the other hand, is being driven forward by big tech companies with generally no governmental oversight, with commerce at its core. And when I talk about commerce, I am talking about you and me and our data and our attention, because that is how these big companies make money out of the future of the metaverse. And the data that we're talking about is going to be much more intimate than the data that we are currently giving away to social media companies and tech companies. As soon as we start to put technology on our faces and on our heads, then there's literally cameras that can see through our eyes, and we're allowing companies and brands to see through our eyes. And the subtleties of our reactions and our subconscious thoughts are going to come through, and they are going to be with us in our most intimate moments. They are going to know when we lied. They are going to know when we have broken the law, and they're going to be able to recognize these emotional buttons that we have and know us better than we know ourselves. And then, of course, using those emotional buttons to market and advertise and sell to us in a much more personal, subtle way than we have ever been experienced before. So for instance, inside the metaverse, inside one of these universes, we might see someone who reminds us of our mother, or someone who reminds us of an ex, or somebody who we really hate. And we're going to have an emotional response to that. We might see locations that look like the last holiday that we went on, or an object that has real significant value to us in our everyday real lives. And these are going to press buttons that are meant to create an action and a reaction from us. And one thing I'll just point out is that by around 2030, we are going to have a digital layer over the entire world. So when you walk down the street, there'll be a digital layer that you can interact with of augmented mixed reality. When you go into the office, while you have the interior of your office space, you'll also have a digital interior. And this might be how we onboard people in the future. This might be how we have team building exercises or navigate places as well. Outside your building, you'll have a digital facade that can be constantly updated and curated and changed to reflect what is going on. And this is going to create all kinds of new jobs for people who get to curate these digital exteriors and interiors and maintain them and also regulate and police them, because this also could lead to digital graffiti. So while these days you might have like a bad Yelp review or bad review on Glassdoor, now these could be a digital billboard somebody takes out in front of your office building to really share what they think. And how we regulate this and how we claim territory within these spaces is still a huge question that we are going to have to ask, especially if we're looking at having something decentralized, having a place where we don't have government oversight or standards of what the societal values are, because we don't even have that right now in our real world. So there's going to be a shift between brands' relationships with their customers and consumers. So we're going to see the emergence of things like brand towns. So how do you draw eyes to see what you're doing in these spaces? And this is going to change our relationship with people like influencers and celebrities. They are going to be user generated content. So people will have, branded nightclubs or bars or restaurants and put on events and shows, and it'll become quite competitive. And what this actually means is that the customers and the creators, the developers, are the ones who are really going to start driving brand values and the services and the products that we are offering in the future. So it's really, we're looking at like an empowered customer, and that's a shift in the way that brands are kind of thinking about their customers at the moment. Also, IP. So this is a really interesting one. You may have already heard about this, but there is an artist who has been minting the Meta Birkin bags, and Hermes is suing them. It's going to court, and the artist is minting them for $43,000 and selling them. And Hermes is upset because they say that's our intellectual property, that's our brand. And the artist is saying, well, this is my right to expression. I am supported by the First Amendment, freedom of speech. And he's citing Andy Warhol's Campbell's Soup prints as, an example of like, well, was that illegal? If that's not illegal, then this is illegal. And meanwhile, Hermes is just upset that somebody got to the space before they did, because that kind of muddies the water for them moving forward. So what happens if Hermes wins this case? Does it mean that the bags just poof, disappear? Does it mean that you have to give your bag back? Does it mean that the artist is going to have to pay back all that money? This is a really good question. And again, where does it fall, and what's the laws that can be prosecuted, and what jurisdiction does it actually fall in? These are all the kind of things that we need to think about moving forward. Gaming transfer phenomenon is something that exists in 2D games. So people who play a lot of games, I don't know if any of you play Minecraft or have kids who play Minecraft, but if you play too much Minecraft, you start to see things in squares, and you start to hear the sound effects from the games in your everyday life. And that's only in 2D. So once we start to hang out in these 360 immersive digital environments, we don't actually know the mental impact that it is going to have on us. So I have friends who develop in this space, and they have reported that after developing and being in this space during their day at work, they come out and their instinct is to walk into traffic, because you can walk into traffic in virtual reality and nothing happens. There's no consequence. So this kind of rewiring of the brain is something that we really need to be aware of. We are dealing with tech addiction already, and this is something that could potentially accelerate that in ways that we haven't seen before. Digital consent. We're already seeing the very first court cases where people are trying to bring their abusers inside the metaverse to hold them accountable in a court setting. And these are at the moment are still getting thrown out of court because they don't fall under any particular laws. They don't fall under cybersecurity. They don't fall under physical abuse, but these are having real mental damage that is following people into their real life. So again, these are things that we have to think about moving forward. And if you think about the dark web coming into these 360 3D spaces, and what is possible there, how do we deal with that? So for instance, we are going to have AI avatars. So these aren't actually linked to people. These are going to be avatars that brands use to make you feel comfortable when you go into the Metaverse nightclub. They come up to you and tell you you look great. And we'll have digital AI sidekicks in the future too. The friend that you show up with at the bar because they're really funny and they make you look good. And they're not actually linked to real people. So what happens when you have the dark web where you have all these non-human AIs, and there will be cases where people try to abuse these characters essentially. And what do we do about that? Is that something that is going to be freedom of expression, that people are going to say, oh, it's my First Amendment right? Or is this something that we need to take quite seriously? Because if people are getting away with things inside this kind of virtual world, are they more inclined to think that they can get away with it in the real world? And then I can't not talk about the footprint of NFTs, cryptocurrencies, etc. I don't mean to be a buzzkill, but we really do need to think about it at a time when talking about sustainability and climate change is huge, and the environmental social governance, all these kind of things. We really need to take into account the footprint of these technologies and data centers. So one NFT transaction is equal to 826 kilometers driving in a gas vehicle, which is 500 miles for our friends in America. And then you also think about art. So it has the same carbon footprint as one print being bought and sold and shipped 91 times. That's one NFT transaction. And currently only 1/5 of the electricity powering data centers is from renewable sources. So for this industry to be sustainable, this is something that we really need to address. I mean, nobody wants to be pursuing something that we know down the line is going to have a negative impact on generations to come when it comes to the environment. So this is something that I think we need to include in conversations when we talk about NFTs and the metaverse and crypto economy, the crypto economy. And my screen just froze. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing, but I still had 2 more slides. So my conclusion is around equality and inequality. So I think we have a real opportunity here to either decide if we are going to use these technologies for good or not. At the moment, NFTs are owned by 0.005% of the population. So there's still a huge market out there for people to tap into, but also, is it going to remain exclusive? Is it going to be, just values or signaling that a signal of wealth? Or is it going to carry some real significance in its values? And I think we're at a point right now where we are the ones who get to decide this. And I think that's so great that we're having conversations today about where this stuff is going and what we want to align with and where we want to sit. And finally, if you want to hear more about XR and the metaverse and NFTs, welcome to subscribe to my podcast, XR Star, on Spotify. And also check out The Big Reveal, which is my free digital innovation newsletter. It comes out once a month. And also it's a YouTube channel as well. So thank you. I'm Amelia Coleman. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Amelia. Fascinating and thought-provoking. There are a couple of, actually not so many questions in the chat, but some observations. So we have, I think this is a comment about Mr. Birkenbag man, and the reason that he was sued was his response to the initial request to stop, and I think he was a bit rude, and that probably didn't help in resulting legal action. What else do we have in here? Cher said that it must be said there are eco-friendly based NFT platforms and cryptocurrencies, and Chris has said we're trying to fix that, which I assume is the massive energy suck. Any comment to make on that?
That's great. I mean, Eddie, yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity for making this area sustainable. And I know that there's a push forward in that. And I would love to hear about anybody who's working in that space. That's just the kind of thing I like to report on. So please be in touch.
Yeah, Amelia, I'll connect you with one of our legal guy, Stevenson Law, the guy that heads up the blockchain practice. He spun up a blockchain company that offsets, that uses carbon to offset footprints in this space, and they've just done a raise, and what he's doing is fantastic. And I'll put you in touch with him as well. And we're partnering with them, very soon to offset some of, what we're doing to make sure what we're doing is sustainable as well.
Very good. We need more people like you.
Hey, Amelia. Also as well, it's something I've explored quite extensively with my NFT platform. So it's something I can share a lot of my research, which I've done into it. I also own a stake in a virtual reality headset company as well. And again, with that, we've looked into the build of those headsets, how we can be more sustainable. Again, I'm more than willing to share some of that research with you.
Thank you.
And then just more generally, this is an observation from Suki about regulatory and legislation which hasn't caught up or is indeed anywhere in tech presently, the safety tech, the online harms, attempting to do this for children as quickly as possible. But given the fact that we're not able to do that particularly effectively in the physical world, I guess the question, what makes us think that we would do a better job in the virtual one?
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, and it is very difficult because, just from a local level, it's different everywhere we go. And I think that is something that's really interesting to think about when it comes to the metaverse. I think it's easy to think that this is a global metaverse, and it's not. China's metaverse is going to be different from South Korea's metaverse, which is going to be different from India's and Africa's and America's. And, that's the kind of way it's going now. So there's actually an opportunity for some real regionalism and localization and bringing physical communities together via the digital communities and digital forums in this space. I love some examples of people collaborating through augmented reality on street graffiti work and creating these massive community art projects. I do know just today I put in touch 2 women founders who are working specifically on startups around children in the metaverse. One creating safe spaces for kids in the metaverse, and then the other putting together educational programs around safety. So there's just so many opportunities there, and it just absolutely needs to be included in the conversations right up front. These cannot be afterthoughts. We can't afford that. This is about protecting ourselves, our children, our families, our friends, and it's great that people are thinking that way.
And just on that then, question from me, what is the role of educators in this? Is this part of the curriculum? I don't have young children, so I don't know. Is this something that children are being educated in right now? It feels like they should be.
It absolutely should be. And it is a growing field. So I know a couple of people personally who are trying to pass some kind of things where children actually are required in schools to pass a safety test, like you would some other things. And I would like to see more of that. I think that's primarily around data and data security, but so much, I mean, we don't, even as adults, most people don't know how to protect themselves online, or, you know, when you go to websites and you just click yes, accept, and you don't think about where that's all going. I got an email earlier today from somebody and I found out that they had published my phone number online, and I never consented to that, you know, and it's, you don't realize how far your digital footprint goes already. And I am encouraged by some of the kids that I'm mentoring now about that kind of look towards educating people. But yes, I mean, honestly, it starts peer to peer. It starts by having the conversation with your husband, your wife, your kids, your friends, your family. Like, you know, how do you take care of yourself online? Like, you know, how do you prevent things from happening and stuff. So
Hi, Kate.
Yes, Angela, hi.
Hi. So this is my first time of joining one of your sessions, and I'm an online safety consultant. I do deliver to children and young people, but my focus is actually on helping parents and carers to keep their children safe online. And so in answer to your question, yes, there is that. I don't know where you're based, but I know that EE have recently launched a product where it's called a phone smart license, which is about an hour's worth of online interactive tuition assessment, but it's trying to get, I think, 10 to 13-year-olds more aware of online harms and to keep themselves safe. And it's something that I could actually talk a lot about, but there are people out here who are trying to educate and keep children safe online. Yeah.
And we totally need to be shouting about that, you know, like I love that you spoke up and said that. And I'd love to know more about what you're doing. These are absolutely resources that I think more people need to know are out there, and that there's people who can help.
Absolutely. So I, just to put what I'm doing in context, I've been developing and delivering online safety workshops since 2015. I was nominated for an NSPCC award for Child Protection Trainer of the Year. Didn't win, but I'm taking the nomination. So it's very much a passion of mine, and yeah, would happily have a conversation with you or anybody else who's interested in finding out more.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
May I jump in real fast, Kate?
Yes, you keep course.
Angela, we need to connect. I don't think we are. Are you doing anything with DCMS? Because I'm working with them on the online safety, Harmsville and safety tech.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not part of the Safety Innovation Network, but
I know, right?
we'll rectify that. Just
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a chat even tomorrow, because that's something that's very important. One of the things that I'm really happy, Amelia, that you got to the subject that you did, because I think that's one of the areas that people very much undermine and don't really talk about in any aspect of tech. We all love tech. I love tech, but we really have to consider that it's a reflection of society. Whatever we create is a reflection of society. So there's always going to be good, and there will always be bad, and there will always be really bad people wanting to take advantage of those that are just out here being optimist and being really good and just wanting to help others. So the fact of, you know, security, surveillance, those things will exist in order to protect, but also in order to harm. So, you know, everybody should just be aware when they are doing things on platforms that they need to be thinking about, you know, if anybody's seen the Tinder swindler,
oh my goodness,
would you really
started
give
to
that
watch it
person
last
money?
night.
You know, you really have to, to make sure that you are very much aware. And if you are not sure, you don't do it, and you go and research it. And you make sure that you're sourcing all your information from reputable sources, because people think that anything that they search for on the web, if it's on the first page, that it's good. It's not always the case. If it's the first, you know, video on YouTube, it's not always the best one. So just remember that, people, just to be aware, because Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of kids that are doing NFTs and they're just getting hijacked and robbed. And I don't want that to happen, because this is supposed to be something that is transparent and good and beneficial for everybody. It's how we're going to build wealth beyond the 1%. Except they are going to still have their 1%, because they always will. Hermes, hello. but just everybody, please be aware of that, because I would hate to see this community lose just because they, went after something gung-ho and didn't think about those repercussions. But yeah, that's something I talk about: risk, security. I'm sorry, I talk about the bad stuff.
But it's a great point, Suki.
Intelligence background, what can I say?
It's a great point. And actually it plays to Chizoba's question, which is a question to all of the speakers. I know Lavinia's had to drop because she's not feeling well, but to the 3 remaining speakers, have you done any work relating to consent and ethics in the metaverse mentioned by Amelia?
So I'm a part of a group called All Tech is Human, and it's very much around education, around responsible tech, and working towards regulations when it comes to this area. So it's I've advised for the UK government, for Parliament, when it comes to gaming and safety and protection. And it is still slow going. I kind of don't know how much impact I had. And this is, now several years later, but hopefully they do start to catch up eventually. But again, I think for me, my faith is in people and education. And I don't think we can wait around for governments to put in measures or regulations. I think we need to be leaders in this area when it comes to ethics.
Agreed.
Absolutely. And just to echo on to what Amelia is saying as well, because of the work that I do in the metaverse, I've actually had the pleasure of working with a few quite big music labels. And with that, because of the musicians and stuff like that, there's a whole massive piece around consent. And from an ethical standpoint as well, in terms of what's being allowed in the metaverse in regards to, because there's the whole sense of freedom of speech. But with that, we have to be very, very careful. And there's quite a big artist that I'm working with at the minute and building them like a virtual gallery, a virtual world. And there's a whole massive, massive piece on consent there. So yeah, I think he's at the forefront of everyone's minds. I'm in that space. Anyone who's working in virtual world or in the metaverse, because of the fact that you've got people who are able to speak there. And we just have to be careful, especially whereas we've got vulnerable people, we've got young people there, we've got a lot of people who are in that space. So it's definitely something that's at the forefront of my mind, especially with what I'm doing.
And I think you made a great point too. People need to know where they can turn and what they can do if they feel like they're in a vulnerable situation, or if something has happened to them. They need to understand that just because it's in a virtual environment, it still is real, and their feelings are justified. And there needs to be places where they can go to report this, and these metaverses need to take it seriously and need to show that they're responding. Actually,
sorry, Jimmy. And I'll come back to Amelia.
Now, I was just going to add, just to chip in from Amelia and Shay's point, for us, we've already started looking at this as early as September last year, where we're working with an avatar company in Barcelona, looking at self-sovereign identities. So how do you ensure control within the metaverse using that type of technology? And they're working with a couple of PhD students in the University of Catalonia and the European Union to start to put a framework in place. So what that means in summary is, hey, if you bank with HSBC, they have your data, right? And we could say that's an authorized, data source, for example. And you come into Vault Hill, your avatar is linked on the blockchain, and you're able to consent to, using a transaction hash from HSBC connected to your avatar. And then you have this Twitter verified tick, for example. That way we know, hey, you're not a, sex offender or, pedophile and all of this stuff. So that is an example of a use case around, you know, looking at putting controls within our space. It's going to take time. It's going to evolve with the technology. It's not something we're going to put in on day one, but definitely something we're looking at within the framework of how we're building our metaverse.
If I may, Jimmy, why aren't you going to put that in day one? Because I always think that security aspects should always be put in at the very beginning, because you're going in afterwards. You have to backwards integrate things. If you build it at the very beginning, you can test it to make sure it works. But I always think security should always be one of the first things that you think about, especially when you're in a space where somebody could embed something in your NFT, you know, maliciously intent embed, and people don't know. I mean, these are some of the things that are going on now, but I always wonder why people always think about security afterwards. I'm sorry, I'm just an intelligence person.
No, it's okay.
It's always a question like, why don't you want to include us in the very beginning?
No. Hey, we thought about this, and that's why we've been working on this, you know, since September, before we even launched the Metaverse. But again, we need to deliver to a number of things, you know, in an agile manner. So the interoperability and portability, where this comes in, is something we're looking at Q3 next year. So it's not to say, hey, you can't start, you know, experiencing what we're building, i.e. gamifying the NFT marketplace. You know, the timeline's working with these PhD professors and students, and the European Union takes a while. So it's stuff we looked at to say, hey, what do we prioritize? How do we still keep people safe? You know, making sure that, you know, I wouldn't call it disclaimers, but making sure that we have some framework in place to do that before we add that to the product at the end.
So I'm conscious of time, and we have 7 whole minutes left. And there is an awesome question that I think is a really great one to close on, and it's from Veronica. And the question is, what do you think are the careers or skills of tomorrow? Everyone talks about software engineering and data science, but if you were starting over today, what career would you choose?
So listen, I'll touch on a couple. So if you look at the financial sector, and you look at banking and traders and all of that, there's a huge market around tokenomics, and not just tokenomics from a coin perspective, but tokenomics from an NFT perspective, scarcity, circulation, demand, supply. That is a niche in itself, and a lot of people are not, you know, figuring that out. And I think the second thing is around legal. The legal framework here is just, it's an open minefield. Like, I kid you not, like if you just come in as a lawyer now, you're going to be making, you know, you're going to be improving so much and making so much money. So I'll say, you know, legal, insurance, and economics. The whole dev, designers, there are a lot of that. Don't get me wrong, but these three are niches that a lot of people, like even the traditional legal firms, are still a bit skeptical about getting involved, but they need to come in, so they help shape the framework to get the regulatory guys comfortable within the space. So I'd say those three are definitely, you know, careers that if I was to come back, to be fair, I'll come in as a tokenomics specialist.
Time to retrain then.
I absolutely second that and agree. The ones I would just add to that are around security, cybersecurity, or meta security, or whatever it turns into. That's never going to go away. So it's only going to get more and more important all the time. And then for me, also green tech and sustainable tech. I think there's so many new opportunities around that, and there's so much funding around that right now. The kind of investors cannot find enough startups working in this space to kind of solve these environmental problems of tomorrow. So anybody who wants to get into that would have my blessing.
One question, I will add something as well, actually, on that question. For me, I'd personally say anything blockchain related. And there's a really good platform that I'll give you guys to go away and research on. It's called Blockchain Council. They do some really, really good courses. And one of my friends actually a few months ago went on one of the courses that was about £200-300, I kid you not. And off the back of that, someone on LinkedIn saw that he'd been on that course and he got offered an £80,000 salary. Very recently, there was another one of 100 grand, and it all came about through him going on those courses. Blockchain Cancel is the name. I've put the link to the website in the chat. But once people see that you've gone on those courses on LinkedIn, it opens up a lot of doors. And I've seen it through numerous people who have gone on the courses. They're really, really good. Another course to do in regards to blockchains is the University of Oxford. They actually have a cryptocurrency course as well. Again, I can share those details as well. But yeah, I really, really recommend anything blockchain related, because blockchain is so broad. And again, as we're all saying, like the opportunities are really and truly endless. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend people check out Blockchain Cancel. And for only £300, to know that you could potentially get some really unique opportunities, it's quite good.
Sounds like
and a lot of the jobs they're starting from about 60, 70K. But yeah.
Listen, thank you all. We have 3 minutes left, and I think it's appropriate at this point to thank Amelia and Jimmy and Shay and Lavinia, who isn't here, but all 4 of you for your amazing presentations this evening. I hope everybody that's still on the call has learned a lot. I know I have. And as a reminder, to Suki's point, please download the chat before you log off, because there are some invaluable links in there that I think everybody will benefit from reviewing over the next few weeks and days. So if there's any other reading matter, Amelia, Jimmy, Shay, that you think that we could benefit from, please let us know. We will share that via the usual community Slack channel. And it just leaves me once again to say thank you all for participating. What a great evening.
Kate, Kate has been a fantastic host. I think we haven't said thank you to you, first of all, because you've been great. Obviously, the speakers have been amazing. As a reminder, this conversation has been recorded, so you can go back and watch it, because I think it was a lot of information shared, and you probably need to go back. And as been mentioned, please make sure that you save the chat, because I think there was a lot of amazing links being shared. We hope to see you obviously next month. Remember, the second Thursday of every month we run an event, and this one is hybrid, so you can come in person if you are based in London, or you can obviously attend what we're doing virtually as well. So navigating your way out of middle management, influencing your industry, and rising above the stereotypes. Wow, that's full on. And we have amazing speakers from Deutsche Bank and Toyota who will be joining us. So I think it's the end. Thank you everybody for surviving this session. And I'm going to stop.